Hi guys, and welcome back to another Let's Build episode. So last time we finished up a marketplace in the district of Smithshaven, and in this episode guys, we're going to be building the Dwarf Forge. Now if you guys are new to the channel at all, we are here to help you build bigger and also build better. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And also guys, if you want to get yourself caught up with this entire series, that's the Let's Build Lordsport series, then I'll leave a link in the card above as well as in the description to a full playlist that you can check out. Anyway guys, let's get into some building. So of course we are now on to the Dwarf Forge. So I was trying to figure out what kind of shape this needed to be. Initially I wanted to do it a little bit angled, but it ended up being on a 45-degree angle, which if you guys know isn't my favourite at all, but you know, it's going to be a bit of a challenge to get this, and actually it turned out quite well, especially with these 4 towers. So the idea with the Dwarf Forge is that we have the dwarves came into Lordsport at some point, and they actually built this outside of the city walls, the original city walls, which was where East Point is. So that's where the original walls were going straight across, where you've got the Warriors Guild. And yeah, they built this gigantic forge just outside of it to kind of service the growing city of Lordsport. And now these days they make really large kind of iron objects, metal objects, could be like statues for example, but also weapons, things like that. Now because it's dwarven, I wanted to kind of change it a little bit, change some of the stones. So we've actually got grey concrete in there. I've used that as a base. I've even got actually light grey wool in there as well, to kind of show that kind of worn look. So I'm trying to use different building materials. And then what I've also got is some deep slate as well on the sides there. So we've got this really large kind of rectangular building, 4 towers. Those 4 kind of towers are actually going to be the 4 mega forges, the 4 great forges. And then just coming out of the side of these, this is going to be one of the ones where just coming out of them, they both come together and they then come down into this central area where they can actually have them go into molds. So, you know, it depends on really what they're doing, but I want to make something grand. I want to have it where 2 of these great forges are actually working together to spill some of that molten metal in. So just going inside one of the forges now, we've got the great forge down beneath it. So you can actually walk all the way around this. This is where they put in lots of coal, charcoal, things like that. And here we have one of the great kind of buckets really, you know, which we're going to have right there, the great cauldron which will have the molten metal in there. And then just a little walkway to get around to the side. Now building onto the other one, I actually want to have this where we've got the kind of bucket, the cauldron actually tipped over, so I actually somehow managed to get that to look alright actually. I was quite happy with how that ended up turning out. Now just building a walkway all along the forge, so this is where it's going to go across the 2 sides, connects up all of those 4 towers, and also adds in some support for the roof, as you'll kind of see a little bit later on. Now of course, because these forges are so great, we need to have some way of actually fanning them. So what I thought is, we've got all of the water supply, we've actually got the aqueduct behind us, so we're going to link that all together. Now dwarves being dwarves of course, we're going to go with some pipes. So they've actually got 2 pipes that come in, that then pushes water through, it actually goes and fans that, so turns a propeller, and then from that it turns a fan which is underneath each of those great forges, and then the water actually comes out into a little stream at the front and then joins up to the river. So what I'm going to do is, because it's going to be kind of warmed up water from you know, just around this place is really warm, I'm actually going to put some steam in there when we get around to that, so we can show that that water is actually kind of warm that's coming out from it just because of the heat around the building, which is just being picked up there. So then coming onto the roof, we're going with a nice giant roof in here, absolutely huge, and I'm using nether brick. I want to have some like darker colours, and I was looking at the red nether brick, but I decided to just go with normal nether brick in the end. Putting in a couple of windows, I want to make these look really industrial, really thin, and you know, really tiny really, so it only lets in a little bit of light. Coming over to the towers now, making these a little bit more circular and then having this big top on them as well. So that's to keep in as much heat as possible, but then, you know, the top part of it is then dispersing it. And it just makes it look really different. It makes them look less like towers and really quite unique. So there we go. And then adding on these O's onto the side of the building as well. I wanted to put a little bit of style there. Of course, dwarves did make it. They love their stonework. Coming around to the front now, we're just building up some of the cliff, that kind of hill that it was built onto. and then putting in some more of the details around that river. So that's where we're going to end up putting in a little bit of steam hidden underneath it, so we can actually see that going on there. And then just coming around to the front now, guys, just connecting this up. So this actually connects up a little road behind the orphanage and, you know, just on the side of the brewery that we ended up building. So it all kind of is starting to connect together, and these are the little details I don't usually show you guys. But here you go, guys. Here is the Dwarf Forge. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it looks massive, imposing. There's lots of detail on there. And it definitely sets it apart using that grey concrete, especially since we've got the aqueduct in the background with the stone brick. So I'm really happy I went for that and kind of used those deep slate kind of blocks there to really add in some contrast. But I'm really happy with how this one turned out, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode of Let's Build Lordsport. If you guys have really enjoyed it, please do kind of check out my Patreon. Without you guys that support me on Patreon, I would not be here to make content. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one.